Greetings! I'm Elizabeth Ann Stewart, an ILCT faculty member, and I'm delighted to announce a new class that I will be teaching for ILCT beginning on June 12th and going till August 14th. That's a total of 10 sessions. It is ICF approved and is absolutely a first in ILCT history and probably in ICF history, because the technique I'm going to be teaching is called image guidance, something that I myself have developed. And so I can guarantee that you will not find this course anywhere else, because I'm not offering it. So, having piqued your interest perhaps, let me explain a little bit about what image guidance is. It's a technique for accessing the unconscious. I really believe that we hold within ourselves all the wisdom we need to get through life. That basically we don't have to go seeking a guru, and that the task of the life coach or the spiritual director or the counselor, the therapist, the mentor is to help clients access their own inner wisdom, which has been there all the time. I also believe that the key to healing is not just in our bodies, but also in our memories. And like many scientists, though I do not profess to be a scientist, but like many scientists, I believe that our memory is not just something located in the brain, but in every cell of our bodies. And so then the technique I have developed, which I call image guidance, is a technique for accessing cellular memory and finding out at some level the roots and origins of issues that we may be carrying with us, whether they are physical, spiritual, or emotional. The books that I have written will be textbooks in the course. The first one, Image Guidance, A Tool for Spiritual Direction, is currently in print. It was originally published by Paulist Press, and I gained the rights and was able to republish it a few years ago. And the second book will be a resource, but it is not in print, but I will be providing excerpts from it, and this is called Image Guidance and Healing. And the way this works is that a client will go to a coach, a mentor, and basically come with a presenting issue of some kind. And the coach or the mentor will listen and then ask the client if there is an image which somehow sums up what it is that the client is dealing with. So, for example, somebody may be feeling overwhelmed with life, and so the image that may surface is of a stream flowing freely, but the stream is blocked by logs, lots of them, not just one log, but a succession of logs, and that somehow all the water is dammed up. Now, on an intuitive level, I, as the coach, the spiritual director, the mentor, can understand that water represents the free flow of life, and blockage always represents something that is interrupting that free flow. So at an intuitive level, I already have a sense of the magnitude of the blockage that the client is working with. I will then invite him or her to close eyes and basically do some deep breathing, and I will guide the client through the deep breathing exercises and then ask him or her to, in an altered state of consciousness with eyes closed, basically to describe to me what the client can see. And so basically I get a description, a very full description of these logs. Perhaps they're covered with moss. Perhaps they're covered with insects of different kinds. And so the logs come alive to me, and so too the water. What perhaps started out as a beautiful clear blue stream, because of the blockage, may become muddied and dirty. Then I invite the client to begin a dialogue with the logs. And so I might present a question, and I would say, well, if you're comfortable doing this, I invite you to ask one of the logs why it is that it's blocking your stream. And so the client can then out loud or individually inside basically ask the question. And sometimes the log will reply and sometimes it doesn't. Usually it does. So let's imagine the first log has replied. It might say something like, I'm blocking your stream because you are not careful enough with your time, with your relationships, with your interests, and basically you are squandering life in front of a TV screen. So that's the feedback the log might give to the client, and the client might respond, well, I don't watch that much TV, it's just a few shows that I insist on watching. And I might say to the client, well, ask the log then why this is a problem. And the log might reply, well, 1 or 2 TV shows by themselves don't matter, but you also squander time on the internet surfing the net. And so then the client has to absorb this and perhaps may want to ask a further question of the log. The client might say something like, well, I do surf the net and I do shop online, but so doesn't everyone do that? And then the client might say, well, what else do you think is blocking my stream? And so the log might reply, well, you do waste a lot of time texting and Facebook and social media, and if you were to look at the amount of hours you spend on social media, you would suddenly realize that this is blocking you from further activity. So the client might then give me back the feedback that he or she is hearing, and I might say, well, if you're comfortable doing this, why don't you ask the stream what it needs from you right now? And the stream might reply something to the effect of, I need your attention. I need you to pay attention to the free flow of life, to all that is life-giving. I need you to pay attention to all that will give meaning to each day of your life. But to do so, you have to let go of the internet, you have to let go of social media, you have to let go of your favorite TV shows, and instead invest in life. Well, the stream has spoken, the log has spoken. I invite the client to come back to the waking moment, and then we discuss what has happened. This sounds very therapeutic, and I have to admit that many of the cases I do work with are of a therapeutic nature. I am not a psychologist, but I have developed this process and have trained psychiatrists, psychologists, nurses, doctors and others in this process. And so let's imagine I was with a client for an hour and a half, then we'd do some processing and do some goal setting. What I propose for coaches in this course is not to spend an hour and a half with a client. I'm not trying to set up a therapeutic model. Rather, I want you to have a tool for brief interventions. So let's imagine again a situation of blockage. The person comes in with a stream and some logs. I might suggest that you first of all have your client draw a picture of the stream and the logs. And then just have a few minutes of intervention where you might say, just close your eyes for a minute. Your client closes his or her eyes, and then you might say something like, well, I invite you to ask a question of one of the logs and see what it answers. And so your client might say to the log, all right, I'm feeling very blocked in my life, what's the problem? And the log might reply right there and then in that instant, might say something like, well, the problem is you're sabotaging yourself, you're afraid of success. That's all you need to know. You bring the client back to the waking moment. It's just taken a couple of minutes and you have something to work with. So there are ways of using this same therapeutic process safely in a coaching milieu without having to spend the time and the effort that would go into a therapeutic session. This does not take the place of conventional medicine. It does not take the place of conventional psychology or psychiatry or other interventions, but it is a useful tool for any life coach to have in the toolbox, especially when you learn how to adapt it to work with your clients. You can use it for issues of discernment. You can use it for issues of checking in how somebody is feeling. For example, you might say to a client, well, how are you feeling today? And the client might respond, I feel like a worm that has just been run over on hot asphalt. I'll say it again, I feel like a worm that has just been run over on hot asphalt. And so then you as a coach understand that your client is not in a good place. And so you might ask the client to say a little bit more about that. And then you might simply say, well, I invite you to close your eyes and just take a minute or two and ask the worm what you can do to help it feel better. Sounds a little silly, but our unconscious speaks to us through images. It's the same place that dreams come from. So you might say to your worm, okay worm, you look squashed and miserable and all hot on the asphalt. What can I do to help you? And the worm might respond immediately, I need you to take some breathing time. I need you to learn how to relax. That's all you have to do. And then it won't be so bad. So there are ways then of using imagery to learn more about your clients, so your clients can learn more about themselves. It's a tool for empowering. It can also be a tool for discovering the causes of illness. Very often we know within ourselves why a particular ailment comes to us at a particular time. And so that's one of the things we'll be exploring in the course. But all through the course I want to emphasize that the focus is on using image guidance in a coaching context. That's what the course has been approved for by ICF, and that's what ILCT will be offering. For a more extended therapeutic version of the course, you would need to work with me privately. But this is simply an adaptation of my process, image guidance, for coaching contexts. And I think you'll find it very useful. I certainly use this both in spiritual direction and in life coaching sessions. I find it works wonderfully well to get to immediate answers, and I think you will too. So I really hope you'll sign up for the course. I hope that it'll be an opportunity for you to find yet another tool to use with your clients, and I also hope that it's something you enjoy working with. So until June 12th, I hope you have a wonderful spring summer with plenty of adventures and life-giving activities.